Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to East Central Missouri and the world, and welcome to the James Strong Show podcast number 195. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making us a part of your day. I appreciate it. This podcast was recorded on the morning of Saturday, November the 14th, from the James Strong Show studio in western St. Charles County. The topic of today's essay, Jack Ma, Charles Koch, and you. Now, you may think to yourself, what do those three individuals have in common? Well, more than you may think, okay? Jack Ma, richest man in China, owner of Alibaba. Charles Koch, one of the richest men in the U.S., and former, some would call him a neocon, certainly a supporter of the right, who has had a change of heart at age 85. And then you, the individual, who again has more in common with those two than you may believe. And we'll get to that. We'll get to Jack Ma and Charles Koch, and we'll mix them into the conversation near the end of the podcast, near the end of the essay. Just a little bit about what everybody has in common. Absolutely everybody. Me, you, Jack Ma, Charles Koch, you name them, they have this in common. We all have certain things in common. And that is that we live in a 24-hour day. No more. There never has been more than 24 hours in a day. If somebody figures a way to get more than 24 hours out of a day, they will become the richest man in the world and probably the king of the universe. But that's never going to happen. And you don't have truly 24 hours in a day to accomplish your goal because you have to sleep a certain amount of those. I have to sleep 8 hours a day, okay? At least stay in the rack and try to sleep for 8 hours a day. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes, and you probably have this same problem, you can't sleep because your mind won't shut off, or maybe you didn't do enough during the day. Maybe you did too much during the day, and you've got sore legs, sore arms, sore back. So pain doesn't allow you to sleep. Maybe you ate too much before dinner. Maybe you didn't eat enough before dinner. You drank too much that day. Something happened that didn't allow you to get that sleep. But you try to get 8 hours sleep, okay? Now, 24 minus 8, quick math, that leaves 16 hours in a day to do what I see fit, to see what you need to do, to do what you see fit to manage your day, okay? And that's the way I have to do things. 16 hours a day to see what I do fit to manage my day, to accomplish my goals, to live my life. Now, technology certainly helps. It helps a lot. Making a list helps me a lot. Scheduling difficult tasks early on when my mind is less cluttered and I have a higher energy level, when my energy is peaked. You do the hard stuff, the easier stuff, throw your mind in neutral, the monkey routine things, the things that you can do anytime, any place. You do those at the end of the day when you don't need those resources, okay? Limiting your distractions, okay? Asking for help to do things, or maybe letting people do things that they should be doing. In other words, not taking on too much responsibility that's not even yours. Those are all ways to help. And of course, if you're going to ask others for help, you need to extend that hand and help others as well. So that's it can actually be, what do I want to say, productive for both. I mean, if you have something that would take you 2 hours to do, but somebody else could do it in one, by the same token, if somebody else had something that would take them 2 hours to do, but you could do it in one, you trade off. See what I mean? So while you're taking on a little bit more, you're helping the productivity of your buddy who's going to help you as well. So those are all ways that you can help to squeeze more productivity out of that 16-hour day, okay? All that stuff helps, okay? And during that 16-hour stretch, roughly from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m., that's me. I just methodically go through the exercise of stuffing 10 pounds of crap into the proverbial 5-pound bag. Okay, but that's my limit. For me, that's peak performance. Okay. Now, why am I even doing this? I'm telling you how I'm doing this so that maybe you can listen to this and say, okay, I do some of this. I don't do some of that. I've learned something. I can perhaps share with you strong via email some of the things that I do that help, and those suggestions are certainly helpful. jamesstrongshow@hotmail.com. But putting 10 pounds of crap into the 5-pound bag, that's my limit. Okay, for me, that's peak performance. Any more, my bag exceeds its tear weight. It breaks. I have to pause, determine where it broke, patch it, and then clean up the mess. Any less than that, and I lie in bed damning myself for wasting very finite resources that the Lord has given me, okay? So there's that fine line between overachievement and underachievement, okay? A long time ago, a very long time ago, in fact, when I was in high school, I went to Normandy Senior High School, not a good school. It's not a good school now. It wasn't a good school then, okay? But I did have a handful of teachers who had an influence on me. One of them was my health school teacher. And you think to yourself, how could a health school teacher, a health class, possibly benefit you in high school? Well, Mr. Sism, who was my health school teacher, he set out a program. He said, your day is broken into 4 categories: work, play, rest, and sleep. Play is not work. Rest is not sleep, and vice versa. Okay. Play is not rest. Sleep is certainly not work. So don't work when you sleep and don't sleep when you work. Okay. 4 separate categories, and you need to balance them perfectly. If you do, it works out best. And that's always worked out well for me. Okay. And of the 4, work, I'm not going to lie to you. I do that maybe a little too much, but it works for me. Okay. What do I do in my work day? Well, this podcast, of course. I love doing this podcast. Okay. It's actually more fun than when I was on terrestrial radio for the most part. Sure, I miss the listener interaction and trying to do that with some of these podcasts with call-ins with some success, we'll just say. But it's fun. I enjoy it. But it's certainly, even though I enjoy it, let's not confuse things. It's work. It takes a lot of preparation. It takes a lot of effort to make this podcast happen, okay? But most of my work day, most of my work week is spent on the day job, okay? That's where I make the money to do all the other thing. And to you people who say, well, Strong, here you go talking about money again. Money's not everything. Friend, try to get by without it. Now, I will admit, money is not everything. But it sure does make things a whole lot easier if you have it. Ask somebody that doesn't, okay? Just ask them. Money's important, okay? So that's where I spend most of my workday, at the day job. And what I do is to go ahead and simplify it, I'm in industrial sales, okay? I basically sell stuff around the world that are used in industrial applications to make, for the most part, consumer products that you use every day. Very boring work. But the what I want to say, the background behind it isn't boring at all. So the procedures, what I actually do may be boring. I mean, it's not exciting. It's not making motion pictures. It's not playing a sport, but it's exciting in its own way. We'll just say that. Not just smiling, exciting, not jumping up and down and cheering, exciting. How's that? Okay. But I kind of stumbled into this job. Okay. I started off as wanting to be a draftsman. Couldn't find any drafting jobs. So instead of drawing product on a drafting board, because I didn't have CAD-CAM back then, I worked as a machine operator building stuff that other people drew because that's the job that was open. I went to night school. I went to trade school, became a journeyman machinist. Got good at that. They made me shop foreman. Enjoyed that. Decided to work with the customers on supporting the products that they bought, that I used to build. Okay, I understood how you build these products. I can now talk to the customers about how to use them. First in a customer service role, then in a account manager role, supporting the sales staff who supported the customer, kind of like an in-house salesman, kind of like a liaison between the salesman and the customer. Okay, when I decided I wanted to sell full time, my old employer didn't want to give me that type of job, so I moved on to a place that did. I've been there for almost 19 years. Okay, so I've been very fortunate in what I've done. I've been very fortunate in that for the most part, when I decided to take a turn to make a progression on my career, I was able to do it. Okay. I've always been very fortunate. I've always done interesting work. The work I've done has always been necessary. There's always been a need for it. I've always been well paid, and I've always worked, and I've always saved. I've put money away most every paycheck from the time I was 19 until now, and continue to do so. So the whole procedure is very boring, but when you look back on it, it's paid big dividends. Now, to do my job correctly, and I think if you're honest, if you look at your own job, to do your own job correctly, it takes lots of research, lots of learning more about your profession, offering your customer or your, whether it's a customer if you're a salesperson, or the people you work with or your employer, offering those that you work for something other than the status quo. You need to offer something that others do not, okay? And if you offer something that others do not, that they have to come to you to get, you're going to be in demand. So if you build that trust, if your customer, again, whether it be your customer, your coworker, your employer, or if you're in sales, your customer who buys stuff from you, if they're able to discuss the application with you, if they're able to discuss things with you, then you provide them a solution. Like me, I offer my services to my customers, kind of like a consulting type service, okay? And I offer it to them free of charge. Hey, I have a problem cutting this product. What do you recommend I do? Well, let's talk about it. We'll talk about it in great detail. And guess what? My solution almost always includes buying something that our company builds. Almost always. And I've had a lot of success in doing what other people don't do. Okay? In my field, in my profession, I've always done what other people don't do. And that is call them on the phone, talk about their application, pique their interest, then make an appointment to get on a plane or drive in a car and go to their factory, look at their application, and offer a solution. That has always worked extremely well for me. Well, guess what? There's a pandemic on, and I can't do that anymore. That, friends, is interesting. I had to change the way I do things. I had to offer other things that the customer doesn't get from other people. And if you do that through innovation and thinking with a clear mind as part of the work part of your work, play, sleep, and rest, you can do this. If you approach your job as a career, not just a job, it's important. Approach your job as a career, not just a job, not just a 9 to 5 where you're looking at the clock and, I've been here an hour, only 7 more and I get to go home. Don't do that. Approach it as a career. If you do that, and I say I've done that, okay? I dare say it's necessary. It's necessary to be better than others at what you do, to earn the money, to build the nest egg, to buy the tickets in life, to have fun, okay? You got to do that. You've got to offer something that somebody else doesn't do.